guess we have to talk too. It's kind of hard. I'm used to just talking while Ron does this whole deal.
He's like, welcome to the Nightly Fix.
There's that.
Make sure you like and subscribe, or else I'm going to punch you in the dick.
Yeah. So, obviously, I am Steven Serda. He's
Big O.
Osita, Big O. Ron is out this week. It's funny, I don't remember where he said he was going, honestly, but he is out of town the rest of the
Straight to hell, for all I care.
So
Straight
it's just going to be me and Osita the rest of the week hanging out with you guys here on the Nightly Fix. We're going to have a lot of fun without Ron. Maybe we'll have a couple of friends stop by. We'll see what actually happens here. Ron did say wherever he's going, which I believe is out of the country, that he was going to try to do the show still, and we were just like,
fucking liar. He's a liar.
You don't have to.
Liar. He's a block-headed liar.
And then last night he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do any of the shows. And we were like, okay, we told you didn't need to. And thanks for waiting until the day before you're going out of town for a week to tell us you definitively are not doing the show. So just me and Osita this week, but I'm excited. I think we've got an opportunity to really spread our wings, really see where we can go without Ron putting us down and holding us back. And
I know, always telling us to shut up, and then in our little chat that we have, like the little private chat, he's always calling me dumb. It's crazy. It's great. He's abusive, y'all. He's very abusive to us. Just gonna put that out there.
Maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit. But I mean, he did say I would be invited to his daughter's wedding. So,
but apparently I'm not. I still think that's fucked up.
I did. I mean, I put in the years, so that's why you just gotta put in some time. Maybe go by the house next time he invites you over.
But I'm okay. Look, he invited me the day of, and it wasn't even really an invite. He asked me. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was just like, "Oh man, I got work in a couple of hours." And then he just sent me a picture of some ribs on a grill. There was no real invite there. He was just like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing." You know what I mean? And now he's like, "Oh, you didn't show up to my house on Memorial Day." Like, that wasn't it. You could have told me the day before, maybe a week before, and then maybe I could have had off, you know? Hopefully he's watching this. And if he is watching this, I hope you're having a great time in Aruba, Ron. But you already know what I'm going to say.
That's right. That's where he's going. I couldn't remember where it was at. Aruba.
Yeah.
Where's Aruba actually at?
Fuck if I have no clue. Not even the slightest clue. I'm assuming the Caribbeans or maybe like Mexico. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'll try to figure that out throughout the show, or you could get in the comment section and let us know. Because we're busier than normal too. We're still trying to manage the show and do things behind the scenes while also navigating things without Ronald here.
Mr. I'm not going to have time to pop up while I'm on vacation. It apparently has time to watch and and
leave comments.
Leave comments. Okay, so I guess it was wrong. It was chicken thighs and ribs, and you did give me shit. You did give me shit. You gave me shit, Ronald.
So okay, well, that's nice to know that Ron is watching from his vacation instead of participating in the show. But I hope he's enjoying himself, and I hope he has a wonderful vacay. If I were his wonderful wife, I would probably be like, why are you doing that right now? You should probably just enjoy our vacation. But hey, that's his thing. That's totally fine.
That's commitment, baby. Commitment.
I do still have to watch the movie for Black Movie Review on Wednesday. We can still do that. I didn't know if we had to wait for Ron, but I will watch.
We're not waiting for Ron. The show must go on.
If I could squeeze it in tomorrow, we will definitely do it. So it's just going to be me and Osita here the next couple of days. But
there is no squeezing in. You're going to do Black Movie Review. That's what Ron would say if he were here.
We'll see. I don't know.
Black Movie Review.
I don't know. You're in Houston. I was in Kansas City today. There was tornadoes all over Kansas City today.
Oh, dude,
I got trapped at the house because there was tornado sirens going off, and I was supposed to go somewhere and be somewhere at a certain time. And I was just like, listen, I'm probably not going to, because I'm not going outside right now. If there's a threat of a tornado nothing is more important than me hunkering down in my basement. I didn't actually go in my basement.
So what do you do during tornado? Like if you hear a tornado siren, I'm curious.
Well, I was getting ready to leave the house, going about my day, taking care of stuff, editing podcasts and doing whatever, like got a workout in, made some food, was eating real quick, and then was ready to roll. And then all of a sudden the sirens go off. And so I feel like some people might immediately be like, oh, I should go into the basement. I was immediately just like, oh, I should put the news on or something. And so I just put the local news on. And they were, when I first put it on, they were like, I live in a part of Kansas City called Waldo. And they were like, if you're in Waldo, you should like seek shelter maybe like here in a few minutes. And then apparently there was a funnel cloud like kind of over right where I live. Like someone saw one forming, but it didn't actually like turn into a tornado that touched down or anything. So that passes. And then there was another tornado that touched down by Arrowhead Stadium and Kauffman Stadium. Thankfully, I don't think the Royals are in Kansas City this week, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't think it did a lot of damage. They're like tornadoes, and then there was some overturned semis and stuff, so hopefully everybody's okay. But it doesn't seem like it was actually that big of a deal. I was never at any point like, oh, I should actually seek shelter. I was going outside and ripping heaters and like watching and seeing and like waiting to see what was going to happen. And then I was like, if I need to, I feel like I can flee to the basement really quick and I'll be fine.
Okay. Shit. Okay. Look, man, like the only experience with a tornado I've ever had in my entire life was like the worst tour I had ever been on with my band. It was super shitty. We had this van that broke down twice on the way to Columbus, Ohio. We got to Columbus, Ohio. The radiator completely breaks on us. We miss our festival set. All these bad things happen. We get a chance to actually sell the van for like just pretty much like scrap money. Like we paid like $5,000 for the van. I think we're going to get like $1,200 back or something like that, right? While two of us are selling it, two of us are chilling at the hotel. And it's just like little Motel 6 in the middle of fucking nowhere, Columbus. And I'm watching this movie, The Revenant, and my drummer's outside smoking a cigarette. And he's like, hey, man, you need to come outside and hear this. I'm like, what's going on? I go outside. It looks like sepia tone outside. Like everything's just like brown and like a brown yellow tinge to it, right? And I go outside and I hear these sirens. I'm just like, what the fuck is that? He goes, I don't know. And so we go back inside real quick. We turn on the news and they were just like, hey, there's a tornado warning. If you, I'm sure he's hammered as fuck right now, Ron. I'm sure you are drunk as fuck right now, Ron. He goes, the news says, okay, there's a tornado warning happening for the area that you're in. If you can see this, hunker down. If you can see this, hide in your bathroom or hide in your basement. I'm from Texas. We don't have basements, right? So I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Like I said, two of us are off selling a van right now. So they're in the middle of like fucking nowhere. You know what I mean? And they're hearing the same sirens that we are. So we go downstairs and we go to like the little front office of the Motel 6. And of course, there's just like this long hair, fucking just like weird looking dude that you can imagine is like a Motel 6 like attendant just sitting there. And I'm like, hey, dude, did you hear the sirens? He was like, yeah. And I was like, what are you gonna do? He was like, I don't know, probably just like sit here. And I was like, all right, well, I'm from Texas. I don't deal with tornadoes. I don't know how to deal with tornadoes. I don't know what to do here. Do y'all have a basement or something we can go in? He was like, nah, you can hide in your bathroom if you want to. And I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking hide in the bathroom. He's like, well, there's an overpass you can go hide behind or hide under. Apparently that's a thing. You can hide under an overpass like while a tornado's going around you and like you're supposed to be fine.
They do that. Like being outdoor. They do that at the start of Twisters.
Twister, like, the new one. Yeah.
They do that at the very beginning of it. Because that's like they're just like get covered up in some way. Dude,
but doesn't someone die at the beginning of that though?
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of the dudes totally gets sucked out into the tornado.
Yeah. That's obviously not a good idea to be outdoors in the middle of an outdoor weather event. Like that's whatever.
It's and then I guess like I was told there was people like stopping at gas stations and trying to like get into the bathrooms because you're just like you're told just if you don't have a basement, get into a room with no windows.
Yeah.
Or crawl into a bathtub and like cover yourself up. And apparently there was people getting kicked out of gas stations because they were like, we don't have space for you. So sorry, like hit the road.
Like, I feel like a bathroom has mirror. Every bathroom should have a mirror, right? I feel like being in a confined 4-wall structure with a bunch of possible flying glass might not be the best idea. That's my whole point.
Well, my bathroom has a window in it, so I don't even think it would really work. Like, I feel like it's still just as dangerous. But I do have a basement, which also the basement has windows, but it's only got like 2 small ones. So
okay, what you got to do is dig a hole under the basement and then cover that hole with some plywood and then hunker down that hole. You know what I mean? And then you'll be fine.
Yeah, and it was fine. It wasn't ever that worrisome here in Kansas City. So hopefully that's the end of it. It's been raining nonstop here for like weeks now. So I'm okay with just getting back to like some 90-degree weather. Like I just want summer to happen now. Like let's do it.
Yeah, you say that till it happens, dude. Texas is over here. It's fucking hot as shit, dude. I'm over it. And my AC went out in my car again, Serda. Again.
I'm sorry. You should.
Yeah, it's all good.
Get that worked out.
All right. Let's get to the sports stuff. What do we?
Ron says he has 4 takes. I don't know what his takes are about.
He's drunk. Tell him to shut up. He's drunk.
It's a boys' trip, apparently. It's a boys' trip in Aruba.
And we didn't get invited.
Yeah. Didn't think we could make it. Didn't think we should get the invite here.
That's crazy. I would love to go to Aruba with the boys, you know?
Yeah. Well, whatever. Ron's gone all week. So me and Osita have the sticks here on the Nightly Fix. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. The biggest story of the day, Osita, is the Knicks decide to fire Tom Thibodeau after the best run that they have had as a franchise in 25 years. And this is, I know you're new to the sports world, and I know that I know that you know baseball now, and you know baseball.
I'm a baseball savant connoisseur. You know,
and you're still getting it going, and we got the NBA finals coming up with basketball, but diehard Houston guy, they're out of it, and you called your shot on the Knicks, and it panned out. And then the Knicks, after the best run, and really these back-to-back seasons are the 2 best seasons that they've had in 25 years, and the Knicks fired their head coach. And it's not, this actually like isn't uncommon in the NBA. This is a pretty common practice in the NBA because it's so built on star players and star power, and the players have all of the control that more often than not, it's like, if you don't like the coaches, like if there's any idea or anything underlying suggesting that the players are not fans of the coaches, they will get fired. And I feel like this is what's happening with Tom Thibodeau, because it's insane that he, after that season that they put together, that he is on his way out now in New York. But it also happened kind of with the Golden State Warriors. I think they fired Mark Jackson. They brought in Steve Kerr, and then Steve Kerr was like the juice that they finally needed to figure it out and get over the hump. So maybe that's the case with this Knicks team. But I just don't think the Knicks are actually like that good. I think they're a good basketball team. I don't think they're a great basketball team. And they just fired the only guy who had gotten them to 50 wins in the last like 12 coaches that they have hired.
Yeah, I saw Michael Shea kind of talking about this on Instagram earlier today. Michael Shea from SNL. I know you know who he is, but I mean, some of the people that are watching might not know who he is. And he seemed to be irate about it because, like, I guess Thibodeau had only been there for like, 5 years or something like that. And like you said, the last 2 years were pretty good. And this last year was the best run that they've had in literally decades. I'm not a fan of just like getting rid of coaches and this isn't even like really a bad time. It's not like they did bad this year. They just didn't make it to the semifinals. You know what I mean? Like, I felt this way like when the Texans like were an early team and we were getting rid of coaches. Like, it felt like every other season we were getting a new coach. And I feel like personally I see it like this. Any business that transfers hands too many times within a certain amount of time, I feel like it's destined to fail. So if you're looking at the Knicks as a business, right, and you're getting rid of the coach, the boss, after 5 years, like, are you going to find someone better? Like, that's my real question. Are they getting rid of him to find someone better? And if so, who? Like, who are they going to get that's going to do better than this guy has within the past 5 years?
So this is a really interesting decision because I think the thing that had really been plaguing the Knicks for the last 20 or so years is their owner, James Dolan. And this is something that we see across all of sports. Like, the teams that usually stay really bad are the teams with the worst ownership, because the ownership is the one that makes every decision. And it's when you see impatience, and that's when you see firings after short windows of time, and drastic decisions and aggressive decisions to try to be good right away that wind up like jeopardizing you for the long term and things like that.
The
And that's how
Nikos
bad
of the world,
teams,
if you will.
yeah, so that's how bad teams wind up being really, really bad for a long time. And the Knicks have been that forever because James Dolan was just one of the absolute like most garbage owners in all of professional sports. Like, and everyone knew it. And then he finally took a step back a few years ago and passed the control over to like an actual front office, and was like, okay, I'm finally going to step away from basketball operations, and you guys take the rings here, and we'll try to see what happens. And then what happens? You put basketball people in charge, and the Knicks all of a sudden have the best couple of seasons that they have had in 25 years.
Yeah.
But then it becomes oh, well, I'm embarrassed that you lost to the Indiana Pacers, and I'm embarrassed that you couldn't get to a game 7 of all things in the Eastern Conference Finals and get back to an NBA Finals for the first time in 25 years. And so you're fired because he's still the owner at the end of the day, and he still makes all of the decisions.
Okay, so we have a comment from Ron. He said, I believe he was fired due to him not changing his hairstyle. They gave him an ultimatum and he didn't budge.
That's Tom Thibodeau's looked the same for 30 years. Like, he's
Wonderful,
always looked like that. Now,
wonderful
him
insight,
as the
Ron.
coach
Love
too. He's also been known as that like kind of hard-nosed old school coach that players don't really like. Like, he doesn't seem like he's a fun guy. Like, you're not gonna hang out and like build a close relationship with Tom Thibodeau. Look at it. Look at him and his hairstyle.
I hated every coach I ever had. They're the person telling me that I'm not doing good enough. Like, so I immediately have like this natural hatred for that. Are you supposed to like your coach? Like, since when is it supposed to be like, oh yeah, we're buddy, we're friends, we're homies? Like, nah, dude. He's supposed to be the guy giving you shit and pushing you to do better.
I don't know if I ever had a coach that I liked. I had some that I respected in a way, but it was really more because they shit on me and made me feel like a piece of shit. And so I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Fuck you, dude. And like, I inevitably did. And then I like earned their respect. But I think it was a little bit different back then. I don't think I actually had a coach that I enjoyed being around.
Hey, there's something to be said about negative reinforcement. It fucking works. It works. You know what I mean? It pushes to be better.
And I think that's what Tom Thibodeau was like. He was about that kind of life. So maybe there was players that didn't really like him. Like, we saw this happen with the Denver Nuggets head coach. Mike Malone was fired in April. He's won a championship. Taylor Jenkins was fired in March. He had a 40+ win season, multiple playoff appearances. Like, this happens in the NBA. It just, there's constant turnover in a league where the players have all the power. And at the end of the day, if the superstar players on your team don't necessarily love the head coach, you're going to get fired. But it didn't even necessarily seem like that was the case in New York. This seems like a total like ownership decision. So, I mean, Osita really called it. I was rooting for the Knicks this whole playoff run. I was like, I'm on board. It's fun having New York back on the big stage. It's fun having Jalen Brunson hitting game-winning shots. And then Osita came in and was like, I know baseball. Now I know basketball. And
it's that. Okay, look, man, I am a Texans fan, right? But I grew up in the age of like, I remember when the Texans first started. So I recognize, this is going to sound shitty, I recognize a bad team when I see them. You know what I mean? Like, or like bad fandom, at least. Like, there's a certain amount of fandom I feel that just kind of leads you to not doing well, and you could see it everywhere with like this them firing the head coach, because all these fans were just like elated. They were just like, yeah, fucking get rid of him. Get rid of him. He hasn't done shit. He's trash. He's garbage. We need to get rid of him. It's like, no, like he did pretty good for you. He just didn't provide in the way that you needed. You know what I mean? He didn't get you to the finals, but he's still a pretty damn good coach. And I feel like I saw that a lot in early Texans days. It's like, oh, well, we didn't even give a lot of these coaches chances to like really prove like to have any sort of system that took them anywhere, because they were being traded out or being fired like every couple of years.
Well, and we do see this a lot across all of sports, especially in the NFL. It happens a lot in basketball, and then especially in the NFL. Like, it is pretty common now to see head coach get 1 year opportunity and then get fired if it doesn't even if they came into a shitty situation. Like, they don't get an opportunity to actually try to build anything and succeed, because so much of it is built around like, do you get along with the players? Does the owner like you? Do they think that you're competent and good at your job? Is there signs of progress? Like, yeah,
politics.
And that's
why are we
that's
politicking
so
over coaching? Like,
about what all of this stuff has to do with, and it is dumb. I totally agree. Like, give somebody, and that's also been a problem in college football. Is worse, because college football signs these coaches to like 5-year deals, and then they fire them. And then they wind up paying $20 million a year for 4 years after that, after firing them once. That doesn't happen quite as much in professional sports, but like,
yeah. Well,
it's just dumb.
College football, that almost makes a little bit more sense, because like ideally, you're only going to get like 4 years with the player max. So you really have 4 years to kind of come up with some sort of system that really, really works, and 4 years of tutelage to like teach these kids the system and kind of run them through the system and everything like that. And you get a fresh crop every 4 or so years. So like, I get why they would probably only leave them like a 5-year contract versus like the pros, where it's like, you can have this dude here for 10 years technically if you really want to.
Yeah, and in college too, like, you're getting a fresh crop of players every year.
You're getting them every year technically
if you're doing a good job of recruiting. But
yeah,
I don't know. Osita called it. He was on Tyrese.
I know sports. I know sports
at the Indiana Pacers, and
I know sports better than Ronald.
The New York Knicks, 2 weeks after, like, one of the highest of highs Knicks fans have ever been on. They're probably feeling pretty low today. I think Ben Stiller even commented on it, because he was tweeting through the entire playoff run. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all I got on.
I'm honestly glad they didn't win, though, because like, I don't think I could have handled Spike Lee putting Timothy Chalamet and Ben Stiller in the next movie. You know what I mean? Like, they just seem too buddy on the court. Like, you know, like, it's like, nah. I think the world can do without that.
I don't think Spike Lee was going to put Timothy Chalamet and Ben Stiller in.
Hey, look, the way they were hanging on the sidelines, dude. Hey, they looked like they were boys, dude. They were.
I mean, I'm sure he respects them as creators, as writers, directors, actors, like all of that stuff. I don't think Spike Lee's putting Timothy Chalamet.
Hey, look. What it would have been, right? It would have been.
It's got to be like a 25th hour type of situation.
No, it would have been a documentary or like a biopic about the Knicks winning after 50 years. Ben Stiller is going to play Thibodeau, and then Timothy Chalamet is going to play, I don't know, who's a white guy on the team.
I don't even know.
Is DiVincenzo on that team still? No, he got traded, right?
Yeah, he got traded. He's no longer with them. I don't know. I'm sure there's at least one white player on the New York.
Yeah. Timmy's gonna play that guy. It'd be perfect.
Or he could just play himself. Like, he caught that basketball in Game 6 on the sideline. He was acting like he was going to go in the game himself, and he was ripping these outfits too, all series long. So
gaudy, so ridiculous.
So, New York Knicks headed back to the dark ages of basketball once again. So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised about any of that stuff. But Osita, last night I was watching television with my girlfriend, and her son, who is 13 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
we were watching Peacock with ads. We were watching Modern Family. We had never seen Modern Family. None of us. I don't know if you've seen Modern Family, but I know that Modern Family was a very popular show, and we were trying to find something that we could all watch together that's funny and entertaining and lighthearted and whatever. Because Abbott Elementary has been a show like that for us, but Abbott's done for now until they make a new season.
Yeah.
So we're looking for something that had a lot of episodes that we could really get into. And Modern Family fits that bill. Like, it's got tons of episodes. So we were watching it, and it's on, we found out it was on Hulu later, but we originally started watching it on Peacock, and she's got Peacock with ads. And so we have to watch commercials every few minutes. And I see this, like 90-second ad come up for Love Island, and it's all of these like beautiful, pretty people in bikinis, like doing dumb things. And I don't watch that kind of stuff. So I don't even like, and I actually, and I legitimately, every streaming service that I pay for, I pay whatever the price is to not have ads. Like I definitively will not have ads. I don't care how much more it costs. Like, if I'm watching something on streaming, that is the point of streaming in my mind. I do not want commercials of any kind. And so I always pay extra for it. And so I really don't see a lot of commercials outside of watching sports and watching like live television and stuff like that on YouTube TV. And so I'd never seen this ad before, whatever. And it was a little, it was a little like risky, like for the 13-year-old. And I feel like it was like making me uncomfortable. And I just kind of sat there and I was like, oh, this is like actually like a weird moment in my life, because like most of the time I would never think anything of this, but I am 35 years old now, and I am dating a woman with a child, which it's not the first time, but it's the first time it's been this involved. And I was like, I never would have even like stopped to think about this, but I do have to be like in this situation, like an adult of some kind, and like actually have like a thought process behind like, oh yeah, maybe that is a little much for him.
A little too much for the guy.
Yeah. And it's the first time I've ever like stopped and thought about something like that, and like felt a little bit older. Like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be the guy who's like mature, that like responds to that and like realizes things like that. And it took me a second to be like, and I was like, oh, what's the problem? I was like, hang on, what? It's like, okay, I got it.
Dude, I think about stuff like this all the time. Like, the fact that millennials are the adults now means that the world is completely and utterly cooked. Because we are the people that, and like myself included, we are the people that grew up with like anime and cartoons, and like I dare you to find a 30-year-old, an adult, who, if you quote them SpongeBob, they won't quote it back to you. You know what I mean? Like it's like that. Like the fact that we are the adults shows completely how unserious the world can be sometimes, because like, adults when we were younger were these like hardened, grizzly, humans. When you were so young, you were just like, oh dude, that's an adult. And it's like now we're just like big ass kids, you know what I mean? But because we grew up on certain things, because we grew up a certain type of way, we don't necessarily think that we're the adults, but we definitely are. We are them.
I still read comics regularly.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Look, okay, so I went to. Do you know what a labubu is?
No.
Okay, a labubu is it's a keychain that kids are like fascinated with now. And when I say kids, I mean like anyone from like their mid-20s to like early teens, right? And they're so popular that they sell out, almost like Pokemon cards did back in the day. Like, I think they're like $30 a pop or something like that. And it's just like a keychain of this little demon thing and like furry ears. Like, it's so weird looking. Like, Google it, you'll see what it is. It's LABUBU. It's weird. So I heard the name, like in my day job, I heard the name a lot, and I was just like, what the fuck is a labubu? And no one could explain it to me. They were just like, it's a keychain, it's a keychain, it's a keychain. And so I was like, where do you find this at? And they were just like, it's at the store called Pop Mart in the mall. Yeah. So I go to the mall, I go to Pop Mart.
Looks like an evil Teletubby or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like this little demonic Teletubby, labubu. And so I go to this store called Pop Mart in the mall, right? And it's like this like weird store where they sell like little Japanese figurines and stuff like that, like just little toys, little dolls everywhere. That's all it is. That's the entire store. The entirety of the store is just little dolls, right? And so I, go in there and I'm just like, hey, I just have one question. They were just like, what? And I was like, what's a labubu? And this Gen Z kid just goes, he shows me his keychain. It's just like a keychain and blah, blah, blah. It's like this little toy that kids like, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. That's the only question I had. And I turn around and I walk away. And as I turn my back, I hear, Dad. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, who the fuck? Hey, who are you calling the dad? I don't have no kids, bro. Like, do not talk to me like that. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? So I'm on my break at this point, right? So I go back to my job that's also in the mall, and I talk to one of my employees who's like 19, 20 years old or something like that. And I tell her what happens, and she starts laughing at me. And I was like, what, do I look like a dad to you? And she was like, yeah, you do. Yes, you look like a father. And I was just like, yeah, I totally should be one by now, shouldn't I?
I do think there's like this people in our age demographic and people like me and you, like, I'm in a serious relationship now, but we been together like a little over a year, and prior to that, I had relationships here and there, but like was just generally like by myself and like and able to bounce around and do whatever I wanted, like for most of like my adult life without much responsibility and without much without having to care much about like what anybody other than myself. And like there's times where like I have friends or whatever who are married and have kids and families and stuff like that, and I feel like I didn't like I missed out on all of the like growing up in that like late 20s to like early 30s that like a lot of people I know did. And then now it's like, now I'm kind of like, oh, am I supposed to like do that now? Like I can't just be how I've been my entire life, like at 35.
Just thrust into responsibility. Just thrust into responsibility for a variable child. You know what I mean? Like, I could see how that, it'd probably freak me out a little bit, give me a little bit of an existential crisis, but so does everything else. So,
But anyways, like Love is Blind. That's what really set me into that.
Love is Blind. No, it's Love Island. Was it Love Island or Love is Blind?
Yeah. It was Love Island, not Love is Blind. It was Love Island. But I get confused because I don't know. I don't watch any of those things. And that's another thing that like people love that I just refuse to consume. So I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I don't get why anybody cares about it or why anybody watches it.
First time I ever heard of Love Island, right? So I had a best friend. I have a best friend, like a childhood best friend of mine, right? That ended up getting locked up for some dumb stuff. Like I think it was like drunk driving a couple of times or whatever. And he told me about Love Island when he called me one time. He was like, hey man. I was like, what's going on? He was like, you ever heard that show Love Island? I was like, what the fuck is that? He was like, man, it's this reality show. And like everybody in here loves it because of all the bad females on there. And I'm just like, let me see what you're talking about. So I check out the show Love Island or whatever. And of course, like you said, there's beautiful women on there, right? So many beautiful women. And I watched like 1 or 2 episodes or whatever, and it's like nothing crazy. But he calls me back another time, and I was just like, yo, I checked out that Love Island show. He was like, bro, everybody here has been watching that. Like all 2,000 people in here have been watching that. He's like, you'll never see, like, he tells me, he's like, there's nothing like watching the show with 60 other dudes. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, they're out there just talking cash money shit the entire time. Like, like, okay, Love Island, the whole premise is you go there with a significant other, right? You go there with a significant other, they split you apart, and then they put some sort of temptation in between you guys.
See, I didn't even know that was the premise of the show.
And so there's
people are voluntarily going there in relationships. Ruin their relationships.
And so the only way that someone from the other side of the island is doing something is because a little light will pop up, or like will not pop up but turn on whenever someone else is hooking up, right? And so like we know who's hooking up, but they don't know who's hooking up, right? And so my homie was just like, he was like, there's nothing like watching this show with 60 other dudes. You hear the funniest things you ever heard in your life. I was like what? He's like, hey, that light's on. Yeah, that light's on. That means she's cheating on him. Hey man, she's cheating on him just like your girl is back home. Like, and just like, just imagine you being called out by some criminal, you know, just in the middle of jail, just like, hey, look, hey, this is where we're at. This is what it is. We're inside. We can't deal with shit. I was like, dude, that has to be hilarious. I couldn't imagine watching that with like a bunch of people like that. I feel like it might be fun. The commentary alone.
It does feel like it would be fun. That's like Mystery Science Theater, but Love Island.
But Love Island. with a bunch of sex-starved criminals in the front instead of a bunch of robots.
Yeah. I could see that being fun. Like I would do that, I guess. Like maybe that's I'm sure there's people that have like Love Island watch parties or something like that. But
funny enough, I watched half a season of Love Island one time on Michael Shea's I like Michael Shea a lot, by the way. But on Michael Shea's Instagram, because he was up one night watching a bunch of episodes, and he was just like literally had his phone up and he was streaming it, and so he was just live streaming the shows, dude. And so like I was sitting there just like typing in, just like, ooh, look at that girl, she messy. Ooh, she like just talking so much shit.
So you're just watching it on his live stream?
On his, yes, that's exactly what I did. I did that for about 4 hours straight, dude.
That's hilarious.
It was a good time.
Ron has since stopped commenting on the YouTube page, but he did for some reason send us a picture of what looks like his vacation destination, another picture of a grill. I don't know if that's in reference to the picture that he sent you or if that's what they're grilling tonight. And he also said, good shit tonight. So thank you, Ron. Really, all I have to say to all of that is eat shit, Ron. It would help if my mouse worked when I tried to click on mute, but
so professional, dude. So professional.
Yeah.
Killing it.
Yeah. Fucking awful. God. Fucking suck, dude.
Hey, don't talk to yourself like that, dude. Come on,
man. Are you aware of the Madden curse? Like, do you know that that's a thing?
Oh, the thing where John Madden will like haunt you if you say his name 3 times in the mirror.
It would actually be a lot funnier if that's what it was.
That sounds yeah, dude.
It would be even funnier if, because I think there's a movie coming out about John Madden where Nicolas Cage, I think, is playing John Madden. It would be.
I love that. unhinged actor in the fucking world to play John Madden, dude. Like that man is a fucking psychopath, and it's been proven movie after movie, and yet they still hire this man.
Have you ever seen Mandy?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course I've seen Mandy. That's why I realized he was a fucking crazy person.
Yes. He has done a lot of crazy things. Mandy is absolutely insane. But it would be even funnier if like it wasn't actually like the ghost of John Madden. It was just like Nicolas Cage playing John Madden that haunted you. But like, or if that movie was actually just like a horror movie for some reason, like inexplicably, it wasn't just like a biopic about John Madden.
Dude, they should make a Harry Carey, but call it Scary Carey, and it's just like Will. What's his name? Will. What's his face from SNL that plays Harry Carey?
Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell just playing Harry Carey the entire time.
Yeah. It's I don't know if they does that like have to be like a public domain thing. I feel like you can't do that with real people. Like
Scary Carey here. If the rumor made of cheese, would you eat it? I know I would. Wash it down with this cold Budweiser.
I feel like that would essentially be like what like Five Nights at Freddy's is, which I never played the video game, but I saw the movie. Didn't really get why people liked it, but I think it's like a kid's thing that I don't understand because I'm too old.
Did you see the Nicolas Cage movie, or did you see the other one?
Oh no, I know what. So the Nicolas Cage one I haven't seen.
Watch the Nicolas Cage one. It's so.
Wait, isn't that called something else?
It's called something else, but it's the same exact storyline in the same exact place.
So I actually do kind of want to see that movie. I meant to see it. It was something that I knew about and just like never actually saw. But then Five Nights at Freddy's was actually like. Because people really loved it, so I was like, I guess I'll check it out. And I watched it, and I was like, this movie sucks. What?
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's was fucking garbage, dude.
It was terrible, but it made a bunch of money, and it's getting a sequel because young people love it, apparently, for whatever reason. But
yeah.
So aside from horror movies and it being really funny, if they'd made a horror movie about John Madden, Saquon Barkley was announced as the cover player for the next edition of Madden this season, which, okay, great. Super Bowl champion, 2,000-yard rusher last season. And it's as if you knew about the Madden curse, because this is like a legitimate thing now where it's year after year, the player that manages to find himself on the cover of Madden. And generally it's after a career year from that player, which that's probably what it has more to do with than an actual curse. But because that's what happens at the NFL at positions outside of quarterback. Like you have the best year of your career and you're at a particular age. And then after that, you wind up never being as good as you were that year that you happen to be on the cover of Madden. But Saquon Barkley was asked about it this week, looking to see if the Eagles can repeat for another Super Bowl championship and go back to back or something like that. But he asked if he was believed in curses by Tom Pelissero on NFL Network. And he said, nah, I'm a believer in God. That's my mindset, to be completely honest, which is a very funny quote from Saquon Barkley. But also, this is a player that has had multiple significant injuries in his career and was finally healthy with the Philadelphia Eagles last season and ran for 2,000 yards. So I'm not necessarily a believer in curses, but his lack of like acknowledging it in any way and also just saying, nah, I believe in God, makes me not want to go anywhere near Saquon Barkley in like fantasy football.
Hey, look, what's the saying? God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, and apparently he believes he's super strong. You know what I mean? Because hey, look, okay. Low key, not low key, high key, I'm Nigerian, and one thing about Nigerians is we believe in two things equally. We believe in God, but we also believe in voodoo. All right? Voodoo and witchcraft and curses are only real if you think they are. You know what I mean? Like if you give it that sort of power and you think like, hey, this is gonna end my career. If you look at it like that, it might happen to you. If you watch Final Destination and actually till this day, I don't leave water bottles inside of my car because of Final Destination 5. Where they had a car pileup scene, and then one car ran into a bunch of cars because they had a water bottle like lodged underneath the brake. I don't do that because I saw that movie and I just never want that to happen to me. The likelihood of that actually happening, probably none. But in my head, it could still happen. So I mean, maybe this is a way of just saying I don't believe in curses. He just chose a funny way of saying it.
It's okay to navigate your life avoiding those kinds of things. I don't think I've seen Final Destination 5, but I also don't leave water bottles in my car. But also, like, there's other things that I've learned from movies that I'm just like, oh, no, don't do that in everyday life anymore because of films. Like, that's
because
perfectly
films told me not to.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it is particularly for Saquon Barkley, and this is a player that has torn multiple ligaments in his knee before, has had serious injuries before, and then last year it was Christian McCaffrey who was coming off of an incredible season, helped the 49ers get to a Super Bowl. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then last year Christian McCaffrey just injury plagued all season long. So I'm not saying Saquon Barkley's definitively going to get hurt this season for his lack of belief in the curse.
But you're not saying it.
But I hope he shakes the curse out of all people. I'm sure there's other players that have actually managed to get past this. But I just thought it was a funny quote from Saquon Barkley, just deciding to, like, no, I believe in God. And also, he's done some other, like, questionable things this offseason, like hanging out with people that it was, like, questionable, and though I think there was like another like White House thing or whatever. I'm just saying, like, you know, maybe Saquon Barkley's not dabbling with the best karma this offseason. Now you're on the cover of Madden, you know.
Hey, wait, is he the one that went and played golf with Trump?
Yes.
No, he's got it coming.
Yeah,
he's got it coming. He's fucked. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. I just say it. Maybe it's we'll see how it pans out for Saquon Barkley in 2025. So the final thing probably before we get out of here, Osita, and this is something that I debated even talking about it because I don't like, we've talked about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend and his weird relationship and the reporting on all of this, and then Pablo Torre, who former ESPN reporter, now works for Dan Le Batard's company, Meadowlark Media, and has a really popular podcast called like Pablo Torre Finds Out or something like that. I've listened to it a few times. It is a really good show. Like, Pablo's a really good journalist, goes really in depth, and has really done a ton of work into his investigative journalism and background and trying to dive into all of this stuff. And now he's been doing like this episodic series on Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, and Bill Simmons, Bill Simmons is the owner of The Ringer, which is another very popular sports pop culture site. They do podcasts that are really popular, like The Big Picture, The Rewatchables. The Bill Simmons podcast is really, really popular. They do a ton of like national sports coverage, NBA, NFL, stuff like that, like really popular sports website. So Bill Simmons, who is from Boston, always been a Boston homer, always been a Patriots Celtics guy at heart, like always been very proudly Boston, is now pissed at Pablo for Bill Belichick and his coverage on Bill Belichick, and saying things like, oh, you know, I've just never seen anybody try to milk a story this stupid for 2 straight weeks. And it's like, Bill Simmons is very successful in this game. Bill Simmons is one of the first people that ever kind of intermingled sports and pop culture in a significant way. And that's really kind of like his claim to fame in all of this stuff. And so I do respect Bill Simmons for what he has done and what he has built. And he's really good at what he does. But he's also like such a douchey Boston homer that it's hard to take his opinion seriously about any of this stuff. And like, also like, Bill, like, your company does the same thing. Like,
yeah,
we all live on the internet now.
Yeah.
Bill, we're all slaves to the algorithm. Like we're all just trying to get attention when we are doing these things online. We're all just trying to get eyeballs to what we're doing. And so I think it's just ridiculous that Bill is upset and mad at Pablo. And apparently Pablo went on his podcast, which came out tonight. So I'm going to have to go listen to that because apparently it was a great podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like, in my personal opinion, the Bill Belichick story is it's so weird that it just has to be covered, because if and when something does happen in the future, like I kind of want somebody to be able to say, I told you so. If she takes him for all his fucking money later on, pulls like an Anna Nicole Smith, and like, when he dies, like she gets everything or something like that, I want to be able to be like, hey, fucking told you so. Told you this was weird. Told you it was strange. Told you she was going to fucking ruin his life. But I guess some people, Ron, think that it's weird that I find such interest in that kind of story. I don't know, man. It just feels, it feels like if I could warn my homie, and I do warn my homies on, like, when they decide to date certain women or just certain people, when they want to have certain people around them, you are who you surround yourself with. So if I feel like someone might be poisonous to that person, energy wise, I'm just like, hey, let me go ahead and warn them. Now, none of us necessarily have access to Bill Belichick, but what we do all have access to is the internet. And so what's our way of necessarily getting to Bill Belichick in that form? Let's let the old guy know. Run away. Get out of here. She's bad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's what Paul Torre is trying to do. Maybe he's trying to warn an old guy about it, incoming troubles.
I think what has definitively made all of this weirder is their insistence in their relationship for it to be a public thing, and for it to be something that, like, she's deeply involved in his life. Like, she is deeply involved in his professional and financial decisions right now. And you have made that public. So it's a weird situation, but I almost forgot. We got to get to it before we get out of here. Let's get to the heat check.
First of all, you could say that with a little bit more enthusiasm. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it wasn't that I wasn't.
Let's just get to the heat check. Whatever.
It's not that I wasn't enthusiastic about it. It was more that I was frustrated in myself, because I knew coming out of the break I should have gone to it, and then I forgot, and I just started talking. And thankfully, I remembered before we ended the show.
All right, next time it should be more like, all right, let's get to Big O's heat check. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So for today's heat check, brought to you by Big O. Also, that name can be sponsored by anyone that is up in the air. If you want to change it, if you want to sponsor it, go ahead and shout out to the Nightly Fix, and we will get that worked out for you guys. But yesterday we spoke on Lance McCullers and his, I guess, his heckling situation via a gambling addict from over the seas, and it was kind of it kind of worked out, because I ended up seeing, on the internet today, a story about an Olympic track star, Gabby Thomas, who was heckled by a guy named Mr. 100K a day at the Grand Slam track meet in Philly. The heckler online said that what he did helped him win over $2,500 on the parlay bet. Now let's I'm going to show you real quick what happened here.
That's right, Gabby. Come on, Gabby. Don't choke, Gabby, like you did yesterday, Gabby. Yeah. You a choke artist. You going down, Gabby. You going down, Gabby. You going down, Gabby. We're doing it for Track Spice. Okay, Track Spice in the house. Come on, Melissa. Melissa got married this year. Got a black husband. Gabby got a white guy. I want Melissa to win. Come on, Gabby. You know what time it is. Track Spice in the house. Come on, Oregon. Jaden Mays, the finest thing out there. Jaden Mays thinks she's fine. She thinks.
All right, enough of that. So, like I said, the heckler said that okay, real quick, my favorite part of that video is the girl in the background going, yo, after he says all that crazy shit. Like, she's like, yo. I would have been saying the same shit. I'm not going to lie, because that was wild. But so he won $2,500 on parlay bets, claiming that he distracted her enough to affect her race performance. Thomas on X called it gross, and the event organizers are now investigating the incident and are planning stronger measures to protect athletes from gambling-fueled harassment. Yeah. Now, it made me think, maybe Mr. 100K a day isn't the villain, Maybe we've just never seen fan engagement taken to this level. While everyone else is just like clapping politely, he was out there giving real-time feedback, loud, aggressive, possibly unhinged feedback. But hey, it worked. He didn't just watch the race, he participated. And that, my friend, is innovation. He saw inefficiencies in her stride and tried to fix it loudly from the bleachers with insults. But that, my friend, is called passion. And let's be real. Athletes have trainers, nutritionists, mental coaches, but what they really need is a dude in cargo shorts screaming, run faster, while holding a parlay slip. He's less of a heckler and more of a motivational speaker with the DraftKings account, okay? That is emotional investment, that is grit, and that is sportsmanship. Plus, he won his bet, which means he's technically a sports analyst and maybe even a results-driven strategist. ESPN should be hiring, not condemning this man. And honestly, in this economy, making money and being a part of the action, that's a big thing. He might be annoying, but he's also efficient, and you have to respect that. Or maybe I'm just a piece of shit, and the powers that be should do something about this psychotic gambling addicts. But who the fuck knows? Who knows? Who really knows? That's where I'm at.
Well, I feel like if he was like motivating her in any way, she would have won the race. Like,
yeah, but he was motivating her to lose because he had money bet against her.
Oh, okay. So that was the strategy.
Yeah, he was like the coaches we talked about when we were younger.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, good old reverse psychology.
No, that guy sucks. But to his credit, he apparently really did his research. Like, he knew who her husband was. He knew who that.
No, he was talking about another racers. He was talking about Melissa's black husband. And I guess so. Gabby might have a white husband. Who knows? I don't know. Don't know these things about them.
To his credit, he really dug deep for this race. I think it's embarrassing for him and his family. I hope that money goes a long way. I hope I hope that he doesn't have a really serious gambling problem, because the only people I know that would do things like that, they've got a lot of negative in the FanDuel and DraftKings account.
Look. This within the past month, we've talked about this guy, the Lance McCullers guy, and the Chiefs Wolf, Chiefsaholic. All three people with crippling gambling addictions that led them to doing despicable things, all in the name of sports. When are we going to talk about this? Look, I fuck with FanDuel, I fuck with DraftKings and stuff like that, but maybe
I didn't even know if you gambled at all.
I used to gamble. I don't really gamble at the moment just because I don't really necessarily make enough money to gamble and stuff like that. And plus, why would I gamble on sports when I don't really know that much about sports? Like, if I could gamble on who the next ACL lineup is going to be or something like that, maybe I would do that, or the next Bonnaroo lineup or some shit. But I don't know, man. Like, maybe there should be some sort of protections made for these things. Maybe you should only be allowed to lose so much, because obviously it's driving people to a certain degeneracy that we have seen multiple times throughout the past couple of years.
There should be limits. It should be almost like a credit check. Like when you apply for a credit card and they ask you to verify your income and stuff like that. Like, based off of how much you make per year, there should be a limit on how much you're allowed to gamble. Because
I feel that.
because
completely.
I think that would stop a lot of it. But the problem is they're gonna keep just feeding the machine and taking the money. But
yeah, but taking the money, taking $100 versus 10,000, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and I'm not gambling right now, but like I really only sports gamble during football season and during the NCAA tournament. Only 2 times a year. Where like, maybe every now and then I'll be out with a buddy and he's like, "Hey, I got this parlay for this baseball game or something. We're having a couple of beers." And I'm like, "Oh, it'll be fun to put $10 on this or whatever, or $20 on this and see what happens."
Yeah.
But that's about it. Like during this time of year, during football season, I do like I gamble a little bit like every week, but it's not like concerning. Like it's not crazy. Like it's very managed. And then
you also have, okay, not saying that other people don't necessarily have the knowledge, but you do have the certain skill set to be able to decipher and kind of tell what might be, a safe bet per se. Whereas,
I think that I do because I research a lot, I read about it a lot, but I'm still not very good at it. Like I still have ups and downs, like every other gambler.
The house always wins, sir. The house always fucking wins, my guy.
I convinced myself of that, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, but I am on board with that. Let's start running credit checks on people who are using these gambling books and making sure that they have income checks and like capping the amount of money that they can spend, because
and while we're at it, tie it to their Twitter or something like that, because apparently let it be known who they are if this is gonna happen. So like just in case they decide to send like a crazy DM, we can at least like figure out who the fucking guy is.
Yes, totally agree. It's not acceptable. I mean that poor girl's family was probably there. Like I mean that really sucks that she had to deal with that. I guess good for that guy for winning $2,500. I hope he goes on a really bad cold streak and loses all of that money over the next 10 days. But
like I said, my favorite part of the video was just in the background. She's like, "You're saying the most fucked up salacious shit I've ever heard in my life." And all you can say back is "yo." Love it.
Yeah, that was awful and miserable. But all right, take us home, Osita.
All right. Well, now that Ron's here, maybe I can actually tell you guys the full story. Okay. Or now that Ron's not here, rather, maybe I can tell you guys the full story. So I was in high school making sweet love to a redhead